What's up, guys? This is the sixth shelf of my drama section. We start off with Disclosure here with Michael Douglas and Demi Moore. Definitely a good dramatic thriller. If you haven't seen it before, I'm a big fan of Michael Douglas. I got into watching a lot of his movies after I saw some of his later stuff. A lot of his older stuff is way better. Great cast. Donald Sutherland is in it as well. Definitely worth checking out if you've never seen it before. Then we have Mystic River. Amazing cast. I loved this movie. One of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies that he directed that he did not star in. But yeah, it's hard to not to watch a movie with a cast like that. Then we have The Other Boleyn Girl. I actually watched this on Netflix before I bought it. Loved it, so I went out and got it on a Black Friday deal. That was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Amazing movie. Scarlett Johansson when she started out pre-Marvel. Eric Bana always does well. Then we have Meet Bill. Big Aaron Eckhart fan. Love Elizabeth Banks. I wasn't expecting this movie to be as good as it was. I was kind of expecting it to be mediocre, and it turned out to be extremely, extremely good. Timothy Olyphant and Logan Lerman are in this movie as well. Both of them do phenomenal. The casting and everything was just perfect for this movie. Then we have The Rookie with Dennis Quaid. Big Dennis Quaid fan. He delivers in this movie. This movie almost had me crying at the end. This is one of those feel-good drama sports movies that'll definitely get you going and into it early on. Definitely check this out if you've not seen it before. Then we have Men of Honor. Great movie. These two work very well together. After this movie, well, I shouldn't say after this movie, after Pearl Harbor, Cuba Gooding Jr. seemed to not be in a lot of theatrical releases anymore after that, and I don't know why. But he's a great actor, and these two did phenomenal in this movie. So did Charlize Theron. I'd probably consider this one to be a classic. Then we've got Magic Mike with Channing Tatum. Out of the three of them, this was the best one, just because it actually had some story that made sense. But it was okay. And then we've got the second one. Like I said, nowhere near as good as the first one's the only one that's watchable. Then we have 13 Days. Phenomenal movie. Loved it. One of my favorite Kevin Costner movies out there. About the Cuban Missile Crisis. Great cast. Well written. Very tense. Great director. Check this out if you haven't seen it before. You'll love this movie. Then we have The Legend of Bagger Vance. I remember when I went and saw this, I was younger. Big Will Smith fan at the time. Didn't know much about Charlize Theron or Matt Damon at the time. And it was okay. Even watching it now, it's okay. It's not Will Smith's best work, but he was going for his Oscar at this point, Robert Redford did do a really good job directing this movie though. So worth checking out. Then we have Must Love Dogs. John Cusack, he's a good actor. So, I'll usually watch anything with John Cusack in it. And Diane Lane's pretty good as well. And this was a pretty cute movie. I mean, the cast is okay. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't really know a lot of specifics about this movie. Comments down below if you've seen this before. Then we have The Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. I liked this movie just because of how different it was compared to other romantic, movies out there. And about, them trying to find each other and all that stuff as they lived in the same house. A lot of people hate on this movie, and I don't really understand that. Probably because it actually makes you think while watching it. Because you kind of pick up on the differences. But yeah, check this out. Don't listen to all those negative reviews about this movie. Then we have Hustle and Flow. This was one of those movies I bought way back when I was buying movies before I had Netflix every single week when they came out. Wasn't expecting anything from this movie, and it turned out to be phenomenal. Definitely worth seeing if you've never seen it before. Terrence Howard, does amazing. So does Anthony Anderson and DJ Qualls. This is one of the reasons why I loved the TV show Empire as well. Because of this movie, because I knew everyone who was in this movie would do well in the series as well. Then we've got Promised Land. This was actually a lot better than I thought it would be as well. John Krasinski, he knows how to pick them, as far as good stuff. He wrote this movie as well. He's really starting to come into his own. He did A Quiet Place after he left The Office. He did this movie. Now he's in the Jack Ryan series. So very, very promising future for John Krasinski. Then we have Rock of Ages. I am not a huge fan of musicals, but I loved this movie. This is probably the best musical I've ever seen. It'll be very difficult to surpass this. Leave comments down below if you've seen this movie. Let me know what you thought of it. Perfectly cast, great music. Can't say enough good things about this movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it before. You'll love it. Then we have My AllAmerican. This was one of those movies, I believe, that wasn't in the theater for very long. But it is a very, very good movie. This is one of those really good sports movies as well. A lot of people don't talk about it because a lot of people haven't seen it. But worth checking out. I'm a huge Aaron Eckhart fan. He delivers in this movie. So does the guy who plays the football player, which I've never really seen him in anything else before. But he does great in this movie. Worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have What a Girl Wants. Really good Amanda Bynes movie. Pre-retirement from acting, obviously. But I mean, it's definitely a cute little movie. If you like, it says it's like a girl power fairy tale with the charm of the Princess Diaries is about right. So if you like the Princess Diaries, you'll love this movie. Then we have the new Fame movie. I thought this was better than the original, but I wouldn't say it's in my top 10 at all for sure, or 100. But it's definitely a watchable movie if you're looking for something different. The cast of teachers in this movie is better than the cast of actors in this movie as far as main kids parts. Then we have First Daughter with Katie Holmes. We had that movie on the last video. where it was the same premise as this one. This is the better one in my opinion. You got Michael Keaton instead of Mark Harmon as the president. I just thought that it was if I had to choose a better, both of them were good, but if I had to choose the better of the two, this would definitely be it. Then we have The Prince and Me with Julia Stiles. You know, I'm a big fan of Julia Stiles. She does great in this movie. Why she's not in more movies to this day, I don't know. But definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. You won't be disappointed with this one. Then we have Castaway with Tom Hanks. Can't go wrong with the Tom Hanks Robert Zemeckis movie. Very, very good movie. I believe he was nominated for the Oscar for this as well. Then we have Catch and Release with Jennifer Garner. You know, this was again back when I was buying every release every week. And the cast of this movie is what sold me on this movie. You know, Jennifer Garner was just coming off of Alias. Timothy Olyphant, I was a big fan of his. And then Kevin Smith, you know, seeing him in something that he didn't write or direct was interesting. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have The Terminal with Tom Hanks. This is one of my more favorite Tom Hanks movies right here. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. It's where he pretty much spends his whole life in an airport terminal. Everyone who works there, flies through there, knows him. You know, very, very touching story. Definitely check this out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have Serendipity. These two work very well together. Big fan of John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale, and they both deliver in this movie. The supporting cast in this movie is also phenomenal, which makes it just a complete awesome movie. I mean, leaving their love life to chance is, you know, very, very good original idea. You know, great cast. Can't say enough bad things about this movie. Or good things, I should say. Then we've got Pretty Woman with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. Of course, a classic romantic comedy movie. You know, Gary Marshall doesn't really make bad movies, so I shouldn't be surprised like I was that he directed that Raising Helen movie. Then we have Defiance with Daniel Craig. You know, he was fresh off of his first James Bond movie when he made this one. Big fan of this movie. Great cast. Check it out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have Did You Hear About the Morgans? This was okay. It was kind of a ripoff of For Richer or Poorer in a way. But it was still good. You know, these two didn't really have great chemistry together. Then we have Friday Night Lights. I watched this after I watched the TV series, and I thought the TV series was better than the movie. But it's not to say that the movie was horrible. But it's worth checking out if you haven't seen it before and you want to see a sports movie. Then lastly, we have Just Right with Queen Latifah. Great movie. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. It was just one of those movies I got because I had never seen it before. And it turned out to be a phenomenal movie about sports and fame and what happens when you get hurt, if people still see you the same or if they're there for the money. You know, definitely check this out if you haven't seen it before. And that'll do it for this shelf. So please like and subscribe if you like content like this. The support is much appreciated. Otherwise, until next time.